Are you thinking about doing Roth conversions, but you're just really unsure of when to do those or when the best time might be to do Roth conversions? Well, today I wanted to share with you 4 different reasons or times to do Roth conversions that might be most beneficial for you. Hey there, my name's Jacob Duke. I'm a certified financial planner, and I help people just like you retire on a daily basis and help them plan out a successful retirement. So today I wanted to talk about Roth conversions and some different times or reasons to do those, because Roth conversions are just a popular topic, especially for retirees. So I wanted to walk through these different scenarios. That way you have a better understanding of when you might want to do those conversions and perhaps give you just reinforcement on, hey, you're on the right track. So number one, in general, the best time to do a Roth conversion is whenever your income is at its lowest point. Now, for most people who are thinking about retirement, it's going to be those first few years of your retirement. So I like to call those your gap years. And basically that's from the time that you retire to the time that you begin taking Social Security. So it's really dependent on whenever you start your retirement. So if you start retirement at 55, well, you've got a pretty good amount of time before you begin taking Social Security, especially if you delay it until full retirement age. Also, you could say, hey, I'm going to retire at 62 and then I'm going to take my Social Security at 67. So I've got 5 years. So depending on when you retire and then whenever you begin taking Social Security, that's what I call your gap years. And that's going to be your lowest tax years in retirement. So we want to utilize those to your advantage because you're probably not earning very much of an income depending on if you have a pension or not, if you have tax deferred, tax free, after tax assets. That all comes into play here. But basically that's going to be your lowest income years, especially if you've got a large sum of tax deferred assets that will be taxed whenever your RMDs kick in at 73 or beyond. So here's a quick example on the screen of just a career track. And I just want to walk through this really quickly together with you. Let's say here on the left, we began work at a younger age, and then we started our career and we just kept going up and to the right. Now, right here in the middle, you can see there's a lower income few years. For whatever reason, this could have been because of a job change. Maybe you're between jobs at this point, or maybe you started a company and your income was just lower to begin that company for a couple of years. So that might have been a good opportunity to do Roth conversions because your income is lower than it was here and it's lower than it was here. It's almost like a gap in your income throughout your career. So that might be a great time to do Roth conversions. But most of us are going to be looking over here to the right whenever we're in retirement or we actually do retire. So this period right here, this is going to be called our gap years. And that's the time that you are going to want to utilize to do Roth conversions in your retirement. Because like I said, this is going to be your lowest income years that you'll probably have throughout the rest of your life. So number one, we want to make sure that we are doing Roth conversions during our low income years so that we can utilize the 10, 12, and 22% bracket. Now, those are the tax brackets here in 2023. Those are subject to change in the future. In fact, we know that they'll change in 2026 when the TCJA expires and they go back to what they were previously. So that would be the 10% in 2026 is going to stay the 10%. The 12% will become 15%. And then the 22% bracket will become the 25% bracket. So we know that tax rates will go up in 2026, obviously, unless they change something before then. So now is one of the great times to do Roth conversions because tax rates are lower than they will be in the future. And we know that they're going to be going up in the future. And so in general, number one, we want to make sure we're doing Roth conversions whenever your income is at its lowest point, whether that be now or we can plan in the future and look ahead and say, hey, at some point in the future, we know our income will be lower then. Another time or reason to do Roth conversions would be whenever the market has gone down. So if we think about 2020, whenever COVID began, or we think about 2022, after the market has gone down about 20%, if we use those times to do Roth conversions, we will be able to convert the same amount of shares at a lower dollar amount. So let's walk through an example together to demonstrate this. Let's say that we have 100 shares and they are worth $1 each. So we have $100 worth of investment. Now let's say that that goes down by 20% in a year. Now we have 100 shares, but they're 80 cents each. So we no longer have $100 of investment. We now have $80 of investment. Okay, so instead of doing the Roth conversion whenever we have $100 worth of investments, let's do it whenever we have $80 worth of investments. And let's say that the effective tax rate, I'm going to show the difference between the two. The effective tax rate was 25%. So 25% of $100 is $25. So that's doing a Roth conversion and paying the taxes on that $100 worth of investment before the market had gone down. Now, let's say our effective tax rate is still 25%, but now it's of $80. Remember, we still own 100 shares total, but now it's only worth $80. We would be doing taxes of $20 instead of $25. So immediately, you can see that there is a $5 difference here between waiting to do the Roth conversions after the market has gone down or doing them while the market is still elevated. So whenever the market goes down, you can still convert 100 shares, the same amount of shares, but at a lower price point, and ultimately pay lower taxes and less taxes than you otherwise would have if you had converted them before that market has gone down. Now, I wouldn't say sit around and wait for the market to go down to execute your Roth conversion strategies, but if that opportunity presents itself and 2022 or 2020 happens and you've got a down 20% year, or you've got opportunity to convert dollars at a lower price, that would be an opportunity that I would evaluate taking and maybe say, hey, is this worth it right now? Depending on, hey, what's my income look like? Is it still worth it to do it at this tax rate if I'm still working? But especially if you're early on in retirement during those gap years, you would probably want to say, hey, let's make sure we're taking advantage of this, especially when the market is down, because that'll be, like I said, you're going to be in the 10, 12, and 22% brackets at that point. It's almost like you get to do a double dip there and you get to take advantage of both of those things at the same time. So number two, we want to do those Roth conversions when the market has gone down to take advantage of those lower prices, even though we convert the same amount of shares. The third reason to think about doing a Roth conversion is whenever you know that your income will be higher in the future and therefore your taxes will be higher in the future. So this could be an event mid-career whenever, like I said earlier, you could have a low income year or two, depending on maybe you changed jobs, maybe you were in between jobs, maybe you just weren't working at all, or maybe you were starting up a business, something like that, and your income was just lower. You could take advantage of those years by doing Roth conversions, converting dollars at a lower tax rate and letting that tax-free growth work for you. Or perhaps maybe you're early on in retirement and you can plan out your gap years and say, hey, I want to do Roth conversions whenever I'm not taking Social Security and I'm not doing RMDs out of my tax-deferred accounts, using those years to your advantage, because you know once you reach 73 and beyond and you've got Social Security going and you've got RMDs started, your taxes will be higher because you will be forced to include those dollars on your income. So doing conversions before that point helps you spread out those tax dollars over your life. That way you're paying a total amount of taxes lower than you otherwise would if you had not done these different strategies. So whenever you know that your taxes will be higher in the future, go ahead and think about, hey, how can I strategize and get these taxes paid now, or at least a portion of them? That way I'm not paying more tax than I otherwise would throughout the rest of my life. And the fourth reason that I have for you today to think about doing Roth conversions is whenever you know that you're never going to be able to spend all the money that you've accumulated, especially if a large portion of that is in those tax-deferred IRAs. A lot of people get to that point where they're like, hey, Jacob, I'm just not going to be able to spend all this money. There's no way or reason that I should. So I'm thinking about how I can leave the most money I possibly can in my family for kids, grandkids, and truly bless them in that way. So whenever we think about doing that, maybe you can perhaps say, hey, I'm going to pay the tax now, as opposed to push that burden onto them by getting money and doing the conversions now into the Roth and letting that money grow tax-free for them in the future. So whenever they inherit that money one day, they would be inheriting tax-free dollars as opposed to taxable dollars, because the Secure Act back in 2020, we know that that changed the rules big time. Instead of being able to do what's called a stretch IRA, now we have to do those distributions from inherited IRAs over a 10-year period, which really condenses and crunches down the amount of taxes and distributions you would have to take as an inheritor to 10 years. So let's say you had $1 million IRA and your son or grandson inherited that account. What happens there is they would have to distribute that $1 million, $100,000 a year over that 10-year period. But if they're working and making $200,000, that $100,000 of distribution is just going to fall on top of their other income, which means they could be paying north of 30% on those different dollars that they're going to be receiving. So by doing Roth conversions, saying, hey, I'm going to think about the future, I'm going to think about my family and how I can leave the most money for them. If you think about it that way, you can perhaps say, hey, it might be worth it to you to do Roth conversions now, as opposed to just push that tax burden onto them in the future. So that would be another reason that you should think about maybe doing Roth conversions outside of the ones that I've already talked about. So Roth conversions are a powerful tool, especially whenever thinking about retirement planning and overall lowering your taxes. But these are just a few reasons that I like to think about whenever I'm saying, hey, is a Roth conversion good, or is it the right time to do this? But I'd love to hear about your thoughts down below in the comments, and please share your different Roth conversion strategies, because so many other people are curious about this, and I'm sure that they could learn from the things that you're doing. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. Be sure to subscribe, that way you don't miss any future videos. Once again, my name is Jacob Duke. I will see you in the next one.